We're in the Mitsubishi booth in the Detroit Auto Show, and I'm speaking with Dave O'Connell, the chief designer for Mitsubishi. Manufacturers often come to shows like this to show the wildest, most outrageous capabilities of their design teams, but sometimes they're really showing what their expertise is. Tell me where this beautiful concept car fits in.
Well, first of all, thank you for the compliment. It is a beautiful car. We did a little bit of both. We wanted to show our expertise with design, our expertise in building sports cars, because Mitsubishi Motors has a very long history of making sports cars. And if you look around you, you can see some examples of that we actually brought from Japan to showcase our heritage and our history and our expertise of building sports cars. We also wanted to showcase where those sports cars are going to go in the future and how would Mitsubishi do it. So what you see before you is our concept RA. And RA is a turbocharged, clean diesel powered sports car. Delivers about over 300 foot-pounds of torque, a little over 200 pounds of horsepower. It's coupled with our twin-clutch SST transmission, which is in the current Evolution 10, and they all ride on 21-inch wheels. So that's really our vision or our proposal for what would be the next step in the evolution of Mitsubishi sports cars.
So we're still thinking speed, we're still thinking handling, and yet now we're adding ecology.
We're adding ecology. Ecology is very important. Again, our company is very concerned with environmental and ecological issues. So how we answered those questions on this car. First is with the diesel power plant, which should return maybe about, I think they are averaging about 47 miles per gallon, estimated fuel economy for that. But also, the body that you see here before you is made out of recycled resins. So you can take the body when it's done, turn it into something else. The material that it comes from can come from recycled materials. So the body is 100% recyclable. It also rides on an aluminum space frame, so that it is not only stiff, rigid, and light, but it's also recyclable as well.
One of the things I really like about this concept is its appropriate use of proportions. So many people, for example, will buy any brand of car and they'll throw 22, even larger size wheels and tire combinations on it, and it kind of looks like it belongs in a cartoon.
Right.
This is gorgeous, and look at the size of this rubber.
Yeah, well, what we have here, we have 21-inch wheels and tires, and they're large, but this is a sports car, they're aggressive, they're wide, but the whole body was designed and tuned in proportion around the wheels and tires. We have two significant objectives with this car that we as designers were asked to communicate. One was the fact that we want to communicate that it has a diesel engine power plant, and I think as you can see as you walk up to the front of the car, you'll see that the diesel engine is sitting on a matte black field. And also the fact that when you come around, that the wheels really are sitting on very pronounced flares. And the body section of the car is very sexy and very beautiful. And it has this line here that is the wide line of the car, and everything wraps over from the top of that line and wraps under from the bottom of that line. And then the wheel flares literally push out from that. So that emphasizes and communicates visually the all-wheel drive that the car has. And also likewise, with the common rail diesel here, we can look at that instantly and say there's something different about that power plant. It's got a diesel engine in it. And those were really the 2 points that we were trying to visually communicate without someone having to say, oh, it's got a diesel, and yes, it has all-wheel drive. That you'd be able to look at the car and recognize instantly that those components are part of this design.
The term concept car is often manipulated now in auto shows. So we see a concept car that is really a 95% ready production car with a couple things that haven't been decided yet, or it's a wild exercise in styling. And as you said, this is kind of in between. What kinds of things do you see actually moving into production from this design exercise?
Well, I unfortunately have to
be careful in that. I understand.
Well,
but like, for example, this type of a door is a difficult thing.
This would be a challenge. But we're also, this car has no plans for production as you see it right now.
Understood.
So that's our official stance. There are features on this car. There's technologies. There's ideas that of course will move through into some, maybe not just as a sports car, but into other production vehicles as well. So we're really looking at this as a technology test bed, as an ecological test bed, and as a design research vehicle as well. But as you know, our official stance is this will not go into production as is. But our response at the show has been so positive. I think we'd be crazy not to move forward, take some of these ideas and move forward with them.
Well, if I could put some words in your mouth, I mean, for me, when I look at this, the obvious things that come to my mind are high performance diesel power
Yes.
is something that
Yeah.
I would love to see in a
Yes.
production car.
Yes.
I also think some of the interior design cues would really work well. You're sitting a little deeper in the car, the belt line's higher, some of the other, kind of simple little attributes, but I love the kind of sleek way that the A-pillar works. I like the design overall, but this power plant, to me, seems like one of the most important aspects of this.
It really is. It really is. It's a way forward. It's a way forward. Again, addressing the fuel economy concerns, addressing the ecological concerns. It's new technology. It's a global technology also. So it's something that we are very much a global-centric company, and we sell cars in many different countries all over the world, many different models. And this is something that we see as something that would be very applicable, not just for North America, but for Europe, Japan, really the rest of the world. So it's really a car that, even though we're showing it here in Detroit, it really has legs throughout the rest of the world.
One last question, which is really kind of resonating about in my mind, is as a designer, when we look at all the different kind of green technologies that are coming forth, recycled materials, diesel, other kinds of alternative fuels, what stimulates your mind to think, here's an opening to do something really meaningful and new?
Well, I think there's so many possibilities out there, and the possibilities are changing daily. The technology is improving, the technology is getting better. We as designers really have to challenge ourselves to stay ahead of what is forthcoming. We do a lot of research from not only but externally as to what's happening in the world, and we try to implement as much as we can in a realistic way into some of these cars, conceptually, and production cars. We actually have some production cars in Japan that already use some recycled materials, and I can see those cars, that type of philosophy, coming to the rest of many of our vehicles worldwide. But again, this car really looks at some of those materials in a different sort of way, with using the entire body as being composed out of recyclable resins. And again, the aluminum chassis and this type of thing. So we're constantly looking at things like that. So how do we improve the breed, basically? How do we leave less of a footprint, but still enjoy the driving pleasure that everyone enjoys, especially with a sports car?